Lewis Hamilton is, for many, the greatest Formula One driver of all time. Lewis Hamilton has undoubtedly made his mark in the sport. With a career spanning 15 years and more on the way, it's no surprise that Lewis has had an extensive history. Today, we are compiling some of the top facts about F1's 7-time world champion, including rare information that you will never find elsewhere. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the greatness. We are giving away this signed piece of the Hamilton F1 car once we get 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. To participate in it, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, and introduce your email on our website. Good luck! F1, the unbeatable record. Lewis Hamilton is known today as the man setting records that will probably never be broken. Most race wins, most pole positions, and joint most world championships. The man seems to be a record-setting machine. But this is nothing for Lewis. His love for cars began when he was just 5 years old. His father bought him a radio-controlled car, and he began racing for the BRCA Championship just a year later. This is impressive because the BRCA isn't a championship for kids. It's a championship intended mostly for adults racing RCA cars. But Lewis Hamilton not only entered it, but finished second in it when he was just 6 years old. As a reward for this, his father bought him a go-kart for Christmas when he was 6 years old and promised him that he would support his racing career so long as Lewis kept working hard at school. 4 years later, in 1995, Hamilton would set the first of his unbeatable records, becoming the youngest ever British cadet karting champion at just 10 years old. F2. One day I want to be racing your cars. After winning the Cadet World Championship, a life-changing moment would happen for Lewis as he met the team principal of McLaren Racing, Mr. Ron Dennis. When he won the British Cadet Karting Championship, he was presented with the opportunity to meet with one of the most powerful men in F1. McLaren had finished in the top 3 in every constructors standing that decade and had won the Constructors' Championship just 5 years earlier, with Lewis Hamilton's biggest idol behind the wheel, Ayrton Senna. So for a 10-year-old Lewis Hamilton, it was beyond ballsy to do what he was about to do. He went up to Ron Dennis and said, "Hi, I'm Lewis Hamilton. I won the British Championship, and one day I want to be racing your cars." Ron Dennis wrote in his autograph book, "Phone me in 9 years. We'll sort something out then." F3. The Eternal Rivalry. Lewis Hamilton had one of the best storylines in the history of F1 when he raced and competed for 3 years against Nico Rosberg. From 2014 till 2016, the two would share a titanic rivalry, the likes of which only happen once every generation in Formula One and happen even more rarely between teammates. Senna and Prost had a rivalry of a similar scope, but they only met and grew to resent each other at McLaren, whereas Lewis and Nico knew each other much sooner. They first met in 2000, racing in the Formula A series under Mercedes-McLaren. They competed fiercely in that championship, but also bonded in friendship. Being two young boys on a karting team with a limited budget, they had to share buses, planes, hotel rooms, and meals with each other. Funnily enough, another F1 race winner, Robert Kubica, was in the same series as Lewis and Nico and knew them well. When asked about the rivalry, he said that they competed and raced all the time, even off the track. They would even compete over who could eat pizza faster, always eating 2 at a time. F4. You're a McLaren driver, but be quiet about it. The Formula One world loves comparing Lewis Hamilton to Michael Schumacher, and after all, why wouldn't they? They are both 7-time F1 world champions. They have both been dominant in the sport for stretches of years, and they both made moves that looked like complete gambles, but paid off in the end. Michael moving to Ferrari after 2 championships with Benetton, and Lewis moving to Mercedes after success with McLaren. But in 2006, Michael, the undisputed GOAT at the time, decided for the first time enough was enough, and he hung up his helmet, announcing his retirement in September before the end of the season, but having already lost his championship to Fernando Alonso. Lewis Hamilton had just won that year's GP2 championship, and after announcement that Kimi Raikkonen was moving to Ferrari and Juan Pablo Montoya was going to be racing in NASCAR, McLaren found itself driverless for 2007. The first driver they signed was that year's world champion Fernando Alonso, and Ron Dennis decided to gamble for the second seat, putting Lewis Hamilton in it. But Lewis was not allowed to announce this for another 2 months, having to keep it secret from the public, precisely because Michael had just decided to retire. Perhaps it was fate that made Lewis start racing the same year Michael stopped, one great replacing another in the sport. F5. Why he races with the number 44. Lewis considers this number to be his family's lucky number. It's a cute reference to his humble beginnings and the registration number of his dad's Cavalier F44 from when Lewis was only 8 years old. F6. He has never raced as number 1. In Formula 1, every driver that wins a Drivers' World Championship is given the chance to use the exclusive number 1 car for the next season. Many drivers have taken up that opportunity, including recent champion Max Verstappen. However, even after 7 World Championships, Hamilton has never changed his number from 44, citing the fact that he approaches each new season as an opportunity to climb to the top once more. F7. He doesn't do track walks. Prior to the official commencement of a Grand Prix weekend, you might find drivers along with some team members at a constructor doing a tour of the track. It's a way to gauge any chances that might have occurred on a track since the last time Formula 1 visited the circuit. However, Lewis has stated that he does not prefer to engage in them, citing it as a pointless exercise. Number 8. He is a deeply devoted man. Lewis Hamilton has shown his faith in many forms. For example, he prays every morning at breakfast and goes to church regularly on Sundays when he's not going 300 km an hour around a racetrack. He has said in interviews that God keeps him safe when he's racing and that he feels his hands above him when he is racing. However, the most personal dedications of faith are his many tattoos. He has a big cross tattooed across his back, with a line from his favorite poem about it. It says, "Still I rise." This is from the Maya Angelou poem Still I Rise. Maya Angelou is an inspiration to Lewis because just like him, she was a black person in a world dominated by white people. In fact, Lewis is the first and only black F1 world champion, race winner and pole sitter. F9. He shares tattoos with Angela Cullen, his physiotherapist. Loyalty has always been a key part of Hamilton's identity, especially with the scrutiny that comes with being a public figure. For Lewis, it's important to have a team of people that he can trust, regardless of how difficult things may seem. On this note, Lewis and a few key members of his personal team have a shared loyalty tattoo on their hands. F10. My car is my baby. As it is commonly known, Lewis is unmarried and does not have any children. This is surprising, as he is nearly 40 at this point and has been racing for his entire life. Most F1 drivers have either a girlfriend or a wife and a family, but Lewis is on a different level of commitment to the sport. During the weekend of the 2022 Mexican Grand Prix, it was announced that he signed another multi-year deal, and he said he is completely focused on his career and winning an 8th world title. He even went so far as to say, "I am not in a relationship. I don't have any kids. My car is my baby." Now that is a whole different level of commitment that few athletes practice. Lewis is willing to allow the love of his sport to consume him and his life. That is commitment.